It's Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. A lot of people were happy to see Gigi the other day, and they requested, many of you requested to see Nugget, and here she is today. As you can tell, she is growing. She's just absolutely adorable. Most of you know I love animals. And when we have times like we do today, I'm going to say this. Animals and family are the most important thing you have. God, your family, your pets. This is part of the family right here. This little nugget right here is part of the family. We absolutely love her. So many of you wanted to see her. Here she is. Say hi, Nugget. She's just biting my finger, but she's been absolutely fantastic and a blessing to have. And you know, when we're going through tough times and we're going through this tough economy, and there's just so much stress out there, so nice to come home to your pets, your cats, or your tortoises, or your birds, or your dogs, or whatever you have. It's such a blessing, so therapeutic to have a pet to come home to and a great family. So just wanted to let Nugget say hi. Let's get into this video. We have a lot to talk about this evening. So let's get right in to what happened today. We have another miracle that has taken place on Wall Street. And I was reading an article on Market Watch titled, "This is not healthy. The latest advance for stocks could signal more pain ahead for markets." Dow Jones up 825 points today, NASDAQ up 360. And this is because of the slamming of bond yields and the hope that the Fed is going to pivot, just like what just happened in England. And I have a question for all of you. Please comment down below. If the Fed does pivot, what is going to happen? And if the Fed doesn't pivot, what is going to happen? I believe, and I'm not an economist, but my thought of this is if the Fed does pivot, if they do pivot, we are going to see inflation absolutely go bonkers, nuts, crazy. We have a chance of seeing hyperinflation at this point, and really the collapse of the US dollar. If the Fed does not pivot, we're going to continue to watch this economy and middle class be destroyed, and the standard of living continue to decay in this country. We are in big trouble, ladies and gentlemen. Either way they go, it is going to be catastrophic for the average American. I do believe the safest route for America would just be to get it over with, raise rates to whatever level we have to go to, pull the Band-Aid off, and get it over with and start rebuilding. But we're not going to be able to do that as long as the Fed is buying bonds at one end and raising interest rates modestly at the other end. And yet our politicians continuing to spend trillions of dollars of our hard-earned tax dollar money here as the deficits and debts get bigger and bigger. See, nothing's going to get solved if we can't stop spending as a country. We're out of control. So I think we're in very, very big trouble, uncharted territory, as they say. National debt surpasses $31 trillion. This is all over the news today. The federal government spent, get this, the federal government spent $3.1 trillion more than it received in 2020 and spent $2.8 trillion more than it received last year. The national debt was $21 trillion 5 years ago. Now, 5 years later, over $31 trillion. Yet taxes keep going up. How are we ever going to fix this if our politicians cannot stop spending money? The answer for these people is just keep taxing you, raising your taxes, and spend more. And we are really getting ourselves into deep quicksand here as these debts are completely unsustainable, unmanageable. We're on a spending spree as a nation. This is going to end really bad. I don't even have words to describe talking about this and how angry it makes me that all this could have been avoided. Yet it was all done while we paid for it. And we are watching a controlled demolition of this economy now. And you cannot have a sustainable economy when you have more money going out than coming in. You cannot even sustain a household by having more money going out than coming in, because sooner or later, you got to pay the piper. The bills come due, or they shut the power off. CEOs warn tough recession coming, home sales lower, and more. Tuesday's 5 things to know. I'm not going to really go deep into this article, but just briefly, this was on Fox Business. 91% of CEOs surveyed believe that we will be in a recession in the next 12 months. I completely disagree. I believe that we are in a serious recession right now, that we are in the beginning stages of what is going to be the worst depression America has ever seen. How many of you watching this video this evening believe we're in a recession right now? And please be honest, how many of you believe that we're not in a recession right now? I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Half the CEOs surveyed are thinking about whether they need to reduce workforce. There is going to be no soft landing, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to see a crash landing, and the layoffs are coming. We are going to see a lot of people lose their jobs. And the sad and realistic thing that we need to talk about is that most people are not prepared for a layoff. Most people are not prepared for an economic downturn. They're not prepared for an economic downturn and a layoff. That's what scares me. That's the concerning part of all this, is nobody's prepared. And many people out there just think, well, there's 11 million jobs, I'll never lose my job. If you have a job right now, do everything you can to keep it. I think a lot of people are going to regret their behavior, their lack of their work ethic. And when they lose that job and the bills come due and the kids go hungry and it's not so easy to replace their job, they're going to realize they made a big mistake and they're going to have a big regret. Hang on to what you have. You may not love it, you may not like it, but right now, if it's paying the bills, hang on to it and maybe think about getting another job, another side hustle. Job openings plunged by more than 1.1 million in August. Again, employers are reducing their future hiring because they are cutting fat, they're trimming fat, they're downsizing, they're going to get small, they're going to get versatile, and they're going to run very, very light. So again, the other shoe to drop when we connect the dots is more layoffs are inevitable, ladies and gentlemen. Ford sales fell 8.9% in September, down 43% year to date. Yet we look at the Dow Jones, up over 800 points today, up over 700 points yesterday. This scares me more when I see these markets going up like this. It scares me more watching them go up than when they go down. How many of you believe any of this right now? We are watching the Fed buy up massive amounts of debt. They're playing both ends here while raising interest rates, but they are controlling this debt market. Who in the world is out there buying up all this debt? Are you? I'm not. We know it's the Fed. And this is how, right now, we are watching, in my opinion, a half pivot. We are watching a half pivot take place right now. They're not printing money. They're not lowering interest rates. But there is hope that the next rate won't be 75 basis points, that we're going to see the Fed cool it down a little bit and do 50 basis points, maybe 25 basis points. But it is somewhat of a pivot, in my opinion, now, when you have the Fed buying this amount of bonds. I think we're at 3.63% as I make this video this evening. Last week, we were at 4.05 in the 10-year. I mean, that is unbelievable. And there's no other way humanly possible it could be done other than the Fed doing this. And the Fed is in big trouble. I think that you better look at this as a very serious warning sign. And how in the world can these markets be up other than the plunging of bond yields and the hope, the hopeism, the hopium, whatever you want to call it, that there's going to be a Fed pivot, maybe some quantitative easing. But again, what if there isn't? How far down can these markets go? Experts warn home buyers of red flags beyond climbing interest rates. This on the hedge today. If you're in the market to buy a home, I think you're out of your mind. But I don't give financial advice. I'm not going to judge you. Do what your heart desires. But you're certainly out of your mind if you don't get a home inspection, if you're paying the seller's closing costs, if you're paying beyond asking price. People buying homes sight unseen, which we've watched all of this take place. And if you're doing this today, you're making a huge mistake. You need to check the plumbing, the roofing, air conditioning system, roof, the heating system. You need to do your due diligence. If you are really buying a house right now, and I highly advise against it, at least do your due diligence and don't be a sucker. There's going to be a lot of people who bought homes without inspections, sight unseen, paid more than asking price, paid sellers closing costs, all of this stuff. And they are going to look back and regret that they did this. And I truly believe if you're buying a house today, you are going to regret what you did. So be cautious, at least think about it, give it some real thought. And maybe, you're in a situation where you have to buy something, you're forced to buy something. I get it. But if you're not forced to buy something and you're just going on pure emotion, sit back, relax, and exercise patience. The discounts, the sales, the blue light specials are coming. The hedge today, central banks add gold for 5th straight month. I wonder why. Why do you think central banks are continuing to stockpile gold? You can't do not do what they say, do what they do. Banks hold gold for emergencies. They hold gold for crisis. And we are heading into a crisis, and the central banks know it, and they are stockpiling gold. Central banks purchased 270 tons of physical gold in the first half of this year. How much did you purchase? Did you purchase anything? Think about why these banks are doing this. You should be acting just like a central bank yourself. You need to be your own central bank. And I don't think there's ever been a time where it's more important to own physical precious metals than right now. Gold today was up, I don't even remember, $34, $35. Silver had another big day today. These undervalued assets are on sale right now, in my opinion. Kitco, buying opportunity. Before Fed pivot, Rob Kiyosaki says that you need to be buying this stuff before the US dollar crash. Rob called his metals dealer, it says in the article here on Kitco, and he says he's having a very difficult time sourcing gold and silver coins. Mr. Kiyosaki in a tweet said, if the Fed continues raising interest rates, the US dollar will get stronger, causing gold and silver and Bitcoin prices to go lower. Buy more. I'm certainly buying more gold. I can tell you that. I have a delivery coming hopefully by the end of this week. He goes on to say, when the Fed pivots and drops interest rates, as England just did, you will smile while others cry, take care. I think there's a lot of truth to that. And I think Rob Kiyosaki is a very intelligent guy. He's not worth hundreds of millions of dollars for nothing. But I think that there's a lot of knowledge right there. And if you believe that there is a chance of a Fed pivot, and look, I think that there is, not this year, but there is a chance that next year they could. This could get extremely bad. And if you're holding dollars, they are going to be worthless. And if they do pivot, we're going to see the stock market go ballistic. It's going to have a sugar high. How long it lasts, I don't know. But does it really matter if your currency's collapsing, if you're running into hyperinflation? At that point, the only thing that matters is how much gold and how much silver do you have? How many ounces do you have? It doesn't matter about how many stocks, how many bonds, or how many dollars you have. Now it will boil down to how many ounces do you have. The hedge, the impact has already been catastrophic. Hedge fund CIO says, this crash, don't look for central banks to save us. Eric Peters, CIO of One River Asset Management, said in the article, one thing I have learned about market collapses is that what gets you into them won't get you out of them. And the people who rode the wave, the way up, will not be the ones stepping in to buy the bottom. No, we will be stepping in to buy the bottom. That's when you buy the dip. I think it's way too early. That's why this time I wouldn't be looking at central banks to save us, he says. A lot of uncertainty out there, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of uncertainty. And these markets, when we saw what happened yesterday and what happened today, these huge surges, these huge comebacks based on nothing. Think about it. It's all based on nothing. It's based on hope. Based on hope in plunging bond yields. Not a roaring economy, not a roaring stock market, no new advances in technology. No, it's hope. That's what the markets are going on. That's how fake these markets are. And that's why they're so risky and so dangerous. And they are suckering people into these markets. They're still suckering people into the housing market. But they're going to do everything they can to get everybody back in one last time before they pull the rug out. And people are going to be absolutely devastated. People are going to wake up and wonder what just happened. You and I will wake up and we'll know exactly what happened. We're going to go in and buy it. We're going to go buy houses. We'll go buy land. We'll buy stocks. We're going to buy it. And right now, you know, people are telling me I'm missing the party. No, the party has yet to begin, ladies and gentlemen. We got a big party coming. Let me tell you that. Typical U.S. household spends $24,000 on bills per year. This was on Fox Business this morning. This is up 6% from a year ago. Remember, 20 million people in this country cannot pay their 20 million households cannot pay their utility bills right now. I wonder if the soaring stock market, if this made any difference in these people's lives, and if they could pay their utility bills now that the stock market went up. I mean, think of, again, how ridiculous this all is that, oh, look, the stock market's recovering. Everything's going to be okay. See, we've had a couple good days, but 20 million people in America, households, cannot pay their utility bills. Something is very broken. Something is very wrong. Somebody tell me a time in U.S. history when 20 million households could not pay their electricity bill. Please tell me last time that happened. But again, hopefully these people got help from the markets today and they're going to be able to pay their utility bills. I really hope so. Now, I want to close with this last article coming from The Sun. Bangladesh, total blackout, world's biggest ever blackout as 140 million people plunge into darkness. Mystery power grid collapse. 80% of the country is in the dark. Unclear what shut the grid down. Very bizarre, isn't it? Think about that. And I wanted to close with that article today because there's so many people out there that think nothing bad can ever happen. We live in America, our grids never go down. You know, these transformers take 6 months to get delivered. They're made in other countries. We are so unprepared for grids going down, cyber attacks. The average person is completely unprepared and unsecured to sit in the dark for a few days. If you're looking at the crime wave that I'm looking at throughout the country, if a grid goes down in a major city, wow, it is going to be straight out of an apocalyptic movie, maybe something like The Purge. But 140 million people sitting in the dark, grid down, don't know what caused it, and yet people think that can't happen here because it's America. We have a very aging, decrepit, decaying grid, ladies and gentlemen. It is very, very old. It is ancient. And we are really at risk of some problems if our grids go down across the country. They have not been maintained, updated. We send money everywhere else, but we don't invest it in ourselves. So what are you going to do when the lights go out? What are you going to do when you can't pump gas, your water doesn't work, you're afraid to leave your house, and there's crime all over the place. What are you going to do? Are you prepared for this? And this is another reminder when I read something like this and I share it with all of you, it just reinforces with me, and I know it reinforces with you, that we're going to keep doing what we do, keep preparing. We know that things are breaking apart right now in this economy, the infrastructure, things in society, morality, people in general, they're breaking down. They really are. You see it on their faces. And when people get desperate and they get hungry, they do dumb stuff. And the criminal element, when they know that the lights are out and the police are overwhelmed or they're staying home with their families, they're going to have a field day. They really are, because they know that most people are unprepared. See, the criminal knows that you're unprepared. And that's why they're going to prey on nice people, because nice people are going to give them all of their assets and all of their food and all of their water, and maybe family members. They'll give them their family members, give them their cars, give them everything they worked hard for. And they'll sit there and go, I never thought this could happen to me. I never thought this would ever happen to me. But then that 1 in a million happens to you and you don't know what to do. You don't have a plan. You don't have the mindset. You don't have the will. You don't have the tools. You don't have the training. Please don't make this mistake, ladies and gentlemen. If you cannot see what is happening right now, things are going to get out of control in 2023. No doubt about it, in my humble opinion. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know anybody that does. But if we continue to follow these trends, we know what's coming tomorrow, and it does not look promising. So please prepare. Please share all my videos. Please give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell notification. God bless all of you. Thanks for watching. I look very forward to speaking with all of you very, very soon.